A lawsuit has been filed on behalf of former students against 4 Ohio universities for their vaccine mandates. Colorado State University is encouraging students to check out their resources for those affected by free speech. And a Clemson University admissions counselor has been reassigned following a lengthy rant about Republican student applicants. We have details on all of those stories and more. I'm Abigail Streetman, and this is Campus Countdown. In our number 3 story of the week, parents and students are taking universities to court over COVID-19 mandates. Mendenhall Law Group, a firm based out of Ohio, has filed a series of lawsuits on behalf of affected students, employees, and parents taking aim against COVID-19 policies at 4 universities across the state. The firm argues that policies regarding vaccination, masking, and testing at Ohio University, University of Cincinnati, Bowling Green State University, and Miami University of Ohio are all in violation of state law. Warner Mendenhall, the firm's principal, told Campus Reform that it is his privilege to work with people who want to do something. The University of Cincinnati lawsuit represents 4 student plaintiffs and challenges the university's vaccination policy that took place on September 1st. They accused the state-funded university of enacting discriminatory policy by allowing or disallowing students to participate in activities based on their vaccination status, and that the mandate coerces plaintiffs from taking or refraining from actions over which they should have legal freedom of choice by taking, withholding, or threatening to take or withhold official action. The suit also proposes that the mandate is in violation of the Ohio State Constitution, as it violates plaintiffs' right to refuse medical treatment. Ohio University imposed similar vaccination requirements, and repercussions for failing to comply with their mandates were suspension or expulsion. Jim Sabin, Ohio University Media Relations Manager, told Campus Reform that the university believes its actions addressing community health concerns brought on by the pandemic are necessary, scientifically supported, and legally valid. However, Molly Noble, a parent of one of the Ohio University students, stated that the school is out of control, and she thinks that they're a little concerned right now with what's going on with their lawsuit because they changed the policy, and now the vaccinated also have to get tested weekly because part of their lawsuit was the discrimination. Plaintiff and Ohio University student Tice Pat has also spoken to Campus Reform about these policies, saying that they're changing faster than any student can keep up with. And he also said that everybody is starting to realize that the issue is not who is or who isn't wearing a mask. The issue is who is enforcing the masks. And that's exactly right. Kudos to him for standing up for what he believes in, because we all know how scary it can be to stand up to university officials. These lawsuits join a growing nationwide opposition to vaccine mandates for returning students. As Campus Reform reported last month, Nevada has recently overturned a vaccine mandate for their college students, and in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis has outlawed vaccine passports for businesses and government entities, and also prohibited universities from declining to offer in-person classes. It's not only college students though. I'm sure you guys have all seen the Canadian trucker convoy by now, and it shows that people are finally waking up and taking a stand, and we should be proud of what they're doing. In our number 2 story of the week, have you or a loved one been affected by free speech? Colorado State University has the resources to help. Here with all of the details on that story is Campus Reform correspondent Travis Morgan. Take it away, Travis.
Thank you, Abby. So, Colorado State University, or CSU, is promoting resources for students who may be affected by free speech events that occur on campus. The Turning Point USA Rockies Territory Instagram account posted a picture of a sign on campus which reads, "If you or someone you know are affected by a free speech event on campus, here are some resources." The university sign refers students to 17 departments that can help: multicultural counseling, incidents of bias reporting, the Office of Equal Opportunity, and a Victims Assistance Hotline. Services specifically for university employees are also noted, including the Office of Ombuds and the Employee Assistance Program. Departments and programs were also designated for minority students, including student diversity program centers for Asian Pacific, Black/African, and Native Americans. Service and cultural resources provided spaces for LGBTQ+ students, students with disabilities, and included the Women and Gender Advocacy Center. This is far from the first example of leftist intolerance at CSU. On September 17th, a student was filmed harassing Turning Point USA group members, calling them right-wing goons, and admitting that disrupting any of your activities is probably one of the most ethical and best things I can do with my time. A week later, another video highlighted a leftist student admitting to knocking down the chapter's property before slapping a member of the group. The same month, Campus Reform reported that CSU students penned a letter to the university administration demanding efforts to defund the police after they protected street preachers advocating on public campus property. And on October 5th, a student was caught stealing a sign which advocated against vaccine mandates. These same students called the Turning Point chapter members deranged during a discussion on abortion. The only deranged activities occurring at CSU are perpetrated by those on the left. A poll by the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, known as FIRE, showed that 85% of very conservative students believe it is never acceptable to use violence to stop speech, whereas only 61% of their very liberal counterparts believed the same. This shows a significant difference in the mindset of those across the aisle, which should not be ignored. Conservatives know better than to use the same violent tactics used on them by leftists, since they would actually suffer consequences. But has CSU punished any of the students committing violence against the Turning Point USA members? Not that I have seen. That's all for this story. Back to you, Abby.
Thanks, Travis. In our number 1 story of the week, we have an admissions counselor being reassigned and an investigation opened following a campus reform exclusive. If you haven't seen already, on January 20th, Campus Reform broke the story of an admissions counselor at Clemson University who ranted on social media about Republican applicants. Clemson subsequently announced that Monica Rozman was reassigned from her previous position and that an investigation is currently underway. The Clemson University employee sounded off in a Snapchat story on Republican applicants at the school, wherein she stated, "Reviewing college apps, and just want to say, no one cares if you're Republican. Like small government, low taxes, etc. Republican," she wrote. But, if you're going to talk about being Republican, don't act like it's a suppressed group, because it's not. And 2, unless you actively denounce the white supremacy and misogyny, etc. within your party, you are going out of your way to identify with an oppressive group. Like, don't. Real mature. In a statement to Campus Reform, Joe Gabrith, Clemson's Vice President of Strategic Communications, said that admissions decisions are made by the leadership of the Office of Undergraduate Admissions, and the views expressed by the personal social media channel of this individual, who does not make admissions decisions, are not consistent with the admissions policies or practices of Clemson University. This is not the first time that possible discrimination has been exposed in college admissions processes. The Center for Equal Opportunity published a study last year on colleges and universities that showed they were discriminating against white and Asian American students. And thanks to affirmative action, we know that discrimination in the college admissions process definitely exists. The act of judging someone based on their skin color is dangerous, and it's causing our society to regress. If the investigation finds that this counselor was factoring students' political opinions into her decisions, it is equally, if not more, disturbing than the previous stories we've seen. Actions such as these hurt students' careers and is unfairly targeting to individuals who hold a certain view. In America, we are blessed with the freedom of speech and thought that encourages diversity among peers and allows us to have constructive conversations. If we get rid of that on college campuses and allow them to turn into leftist echo chambers more than they already are, then the rest of the country will follow suit. These ideas don't just stay on college campuses, they eventually graduate as well. And it is never okay to ruin someone's life because of political beliefs. And now for everyone's favorite segment, the woke tweet of the week. This week we have a Cornell University literary theory and cultural history professor saying that chattel slavery transformed modern finance into what it is, and thus every subsequent act of financialization must be understood as a racializing one. The post and subsequent thread have since been deleted, but Campus Reform obtained copies first. In a follow-up tweet, she said that this dynamic includes debt as a racializing instrument, which is what I'm writing my first book on. Extending and denying credit has always been political and racialized, especially for the unbanked. Goff holds a dual appointment in the university's Department of Africana Studies and the program in Feminist, Gender, and Sexuality Studies. According to her website, she specializes in colonial histories of race, debt, and technology, and her work is rooted in literature and theories of labor that center Black feminist engagements with ingenuity and Asian diasporic racial formations. The professor did not respond to Campus Reform's request for comment and instead blocked our correspondent on Twitter. And Cornell University did not respond to our request either. Although I'm sure most of you know that these ideas are absolutely insane, unfortunately, they have become more popular in recent years. And even a couple years ago, the New York Times Magazine published an extensive piece entitled, "In order to understand the brutality of American capitalism, you have to start on the plantation." This professor is not the only one who shares these views, and much like the ideas discussed in the last story, the topics have already graduated college campus, and this professor is inflicting this way of thinking onto our youngest generations. We must not allow those who want to destroy our country to go unquestioned. The only way to combat this type of toxic speech is with better speech that exposes their lies. Those are all the top stories we have for you this week. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave a like down below. You can follow along with all of the campus craziness on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Campus Reform. I'm Abigail Streetman. Thanks for watching Campus Countdown.